Our chairman for the day, Elder Dr. Eleazu, because your opening remark. Dr. Eleazu, please.
Hello?
Hello? Yes.
You can hear me now. I will stand on protocol established by our moderator, Chief Asaloka. Your Excellency, Chief Nyanwodo, Eunwafo Igbo, I salute you. Aga m esekwa na-ekwu Igbo ma na-ekwu Bekee. Igbo ekene m unu.
Ekele m gị.
Ekele na m ndị mere organize webinar nke a, especially my good friend Emeka Ugwoji. O nwere ndị Igbo ihe Igbo anaghị agwụwa ike. They pursue it relentlessly, and he's one of them. So, Chief Emeka, ekele m go na ndị gị na ha so wee mee nzukọ a. O tegokwa n'ụdị nzukọ a kwesịrị na-enye enwe na ya. And today, ama m ụwa niile na-ege ntị ihe a ga-ekwu n'ebe a. So we are here for a serious business. And it could not have come at a better time. Igbo si ekwu, agwọ nọ n'akịrịka n'ala Igbo. So mgbakọ a bara uru ebe ọ dị ukwuu. As we all know, Chief Nyanwodo achịla anyị afọ ole ugbu a. Oge o ji ahapụ oche, ọ fọrọ nwantịntị. And we need a successor, a leader who will continue to reform the reforms that his regime has started and build on it for the future. This is not a time to be without a leader, and it's not a time to be without direction. Now to Ohaneze. Since inception of Ohaneze, around 1976-77, mgbe ndị military government is na-emeghe ụzọ for socio-cultural organizations, some eminent Ndigbo gathered together and decided that ha ga-ewugharị the old Igbo State Union. Igbo State Union na ihe jikọtara ndị Igbo na mgbe gara aga. Ha wee kpọọ ya Ohaneze. Since then, the aim, if I can encapsulate what the goal was supposed to be, it was to be a body, the apex of all social, political, sociocultural, and socioeconomic bodies in our Igbo, by laying down a code of conduct, giving direction to political actors at all levels of governance in our Igbo, and representing Igbo interests in the Committee of other nationalities in Nigeria, and the interest of Ohaneze. If you like, call it a modern socio-political system based on Igbo political culture.
How would they indicate?
Those who have seen the Constitution, hello? Those who have seen the constitution will see the aims spelled out in the constitution. We have not quite succeeded in all the things that we wanted Ohaneze to do. Because of politicians and their partisan politics, people who were seeking relevance in politics started hijacking Ohaneze into politics, whereas it was intended to be above politics, not apolitical, but above politics, partisan politics. And then there were the constitutional inadequacies. Anyị emeghariala constitution anyị about 3 times. And each time, our chief Nyanwedeka, Oya na-edepụsara anyị the thing. Then Nwabeze, Professor Nwabeze, these are eminent lawyers. And there is nothing that should be in an organizational constitution that is not there. Because we looked at our culture, the anthropology of Igbo land, the political culture before the thing was drawn up. I'll come to that later if you give me time. So the inadequacies of not making the constitution and implementing it the way it ought to be created some problems. We had problems of people who wanted to elongate their tenure, and then the problems of constituting Imobi, which arose from what Nigerian government wanted to impose on us. And then there are organizational, the leadership and followership problems. Ohaneze was supposed to reflect the same organizational structure that built Igbo State Union. Many people don't realize that Igbo Union is different from Igbo State Union. And if I'm an Igbo State Union, in those days, you see from your village, but in a town, the first thing you do is to ask where your village improvement union holds meetings, what we now call town unions. From there, you will begin to learn the maze ways of living in an urban area. For example, when I came to Lagos for the first time, I first of all found where Ahafia people used to have meetings. And from there, I realized that there is another meeting place above it, and that was the Bende Divisional Union. And you send delegates there. When you go there, you find everybody from the Bende division. Their unions will send representatives there. And from there, we met, people will be elected to go to the Owerri Provincial Union, and so on, before you can get to Igbo State Union. So that structure held together Ndigbo Dumonono outside. Then Eberezie to tinye ndị nọ n'ụlọ ya nye anyị Igbo State Union. So when Ohaneze was organized, it was supposed to reflect the same structure so that it will have the Oha being represented and the Ezes being represented. We have not quite been able to achieve that. Our constitution right now is still there. These are some of the issues I like the people who are going to comment to talk about. And then there's the issue of youths, Ohaneze youths. In those days, we didn't have to have Ohaneze, Igbo State Union youths. You belong to your village union, from village union to town union, to district union, to provincial union. And when if I am, the youths, akwahoku, agwahiya achoro keme, and then they go out and do it. We have not been able to have that kind of integration to hold everybody together because of so many issues which I may not have time to go into. And there's a paper which those who put together this organization have sent in, which I will suggest that everybody should read because it encapsulates what I'm trying to say as to what Ohaneze was supposed to be. We have tried in various ways. And the fact that some people have kept the union going is only a miracle that we are still on till now. So, ana m ekene ndị dum mere na onye isi ma dịka from Eze Ozobu to Irukwu to Uwetre to Igariwe. Before we got to Chief Nyanwodo, all the people who have held up this thing to hold it together, not to talk about people like Professor Nwabweze, who at every juncture will try to pull us back to the legal basis of the organization. So, even the Kubua, Akurum Agwana Nakrika, and no question Lebanya, even Ala Nigeria, Eba so that we will be able to follow, have an organization that can give us the kind of representation that we need. We need to put our house in order. And the Constitution has spelled out how Ohaneze should be organized. And if we can only achieve that, it will deal with all our problems organizationally, including the funding. When I said Nagwan and Africa, what if Nigeria implodes today? Because events in Nigeria today are moving so fast that one will not be surprised to wake up one day and find that the Nigeria you used to know no longer exists. Two, we know that even being in Nigeria, there's law which applies to other parts of Nigeria and laws which apply to Ndigbo. Only if any also me, only if I am, but eme ya na Ndigbo, gafu ndị na-achị obodo apụta nnọọ ma egbe ma mbọ ihe niile ọpụtasịa ọ ndị nọ n'ala anyị jiri ọfịa anyị mere ubi ha. Two or three ethnic nationalities are fairly well organized to take off as nation states in the event of a calamity falling on Nigeria. The way I see it, we are not. It happened before in July 1966. Then the battle cry of the North was Araba. It may very well happen again. Our worry is that the situation in Ndigbo today is far more complex than what the Igbo society used to be, say, before 1966. Kinship ties and village improvement unions were still strong and preaching Onyahalangwaneya. And that is why Eastern Nigeria was able to accommodate the largest internally displaced persons ever seen in Africa in living memory. Can we repeat that this time, if it happens again? It is not an exaggeration to say that compared to 1960, there is no longer the communality of interest among Ndigbo, as was the case under the Igbo State Union, with the numerous village improvement associations affiliated to it. Leadership in Igbo land today appears to be splintered and rudderless. Because of the introduction of these chieftaincy laws in the East, we now have gone from being characterized as acephalous societies to now having 1,001 ancient kingdoms, with no cultural norms binding us together. In spite of that, the hold of tradition is not as strong as it used to be. You go to almost every part of Ndigbo, you have this strange phenomenon of having in one community, the same community, somebody who is a traditional ruler and another chief who is a recognized chief. And that creates dual loyalties. So Ohaneze Ekpoku, Anajonye Geje, is it the traditional ruler or the recognized chief? This is the very thus, in the very unlikely event that Nigeria implodes today, what will be the proximate response of Ndigbo? And who or what will hold Ndigbo together? Ndị onyo ya ga-akpọ oku, mmadụ niile apụtabịa aza oku. That was why we have an organization like Ohaneze, and why Ohaneze has to be reconstructed, has to be rebuilt, has to be restructured to reflect the original goals. Imagine the scenario of what might happen. If Nigeria implodes, Arewa Consultative Assembly, through their sultan, will regulate all the Sharia states and tell them, Jihad, Afenifere will call on the Oni of Ife to declare Odua Republic. And with the Amotekun in the vanguard, the 6 governors will all fall into line. But Ohaneze Ndigbo Kpoku will call a meeting of Imobi to discuss the way forward. Then Igbo leaders of thought will call a separate meeting. Igbo Development Foundation will call another meeting. Igbo Kunia will call another meeting. World Igbo Congress will stay abroad there, internet, and mount internet warfare against everybody at home, claiming that only Jenako, only Isiawo, Amamihe. That's not going to save us. In the meantime, the governors of the 5 states will be digging in with their political structures. After all, they were elected sons of the soil to rule this or that state. And in the circumstance, Masab will declare the sovereign state has been actualized. This will be countered by indigenous people of Biafra, who will try to woo the Biafra Zionist movement to join them. In the meantime, the ordinary Igbo person will be left in the lurch, not knowing which leader to follow. Then warlords with a lot of palm fronds will arise, and there will be struggle for power. All the ills of the Nigerian political class will resurface in the new Biafra or Ndigbo Republic. In the process, we will even lose sight of why we wanted to leave Nigeria or to have Nigeria restructured. At 90, move for the man n'oge ala mmụọ wee hụ Dr. Okpara ma ọkwalụ Sir Francis Ebiam, ndị nna m ukwu kụziri m na skuul. Ha jụọ m ndị otu ala Igbo dị, kedu ife m ya agwa ha? A na-asị once bitten, twice shy. Okpara nwata kemgbe ori ọkụ, nke abụọ taa ya n'egheghị. Dr. Emma Akpara once quipped, to err is human, to repeat it is stupid. Fool me once, na foolish. Fool me second time, na proper foolish, unquote. We have to examine ourselves as a people and ask ourselves questions, and if possible, create a narrative acceptable to us as a people. They say if you want to be a millionaire, begin to behave like one. If we are aspiring to be a sovereign nation, or even an economic unit within a possible Nigerian confederation, we can do it. And that is why Ohaneze must exist, to bring everybody under the same umbrella, not as a government, but as the sovereign will, our life and our liberty in an organization. So what can I say now? I'll quote a poem somebody wrote. To you, the younger ones, from thine hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep. Igbo, ekene munu.
Thank you.